You don't need to be a nuclear scientist to know that things are progressively getting bad. How? Smaller percentage of Nigerians are now prosperous.
Hello and what's up, guys? In this video, we are diving straight into a shocking warning coming from certain elders and leaders of thought across Nigeria. And trust me, what they are saying is shaking the political space right now. According to them, Nigeria is sitting on a ticking time bomb. They warn that if urgent changes are not made, revolution and division will soon become the only solution. And when they say revolution, they don't mean carrying guns. They mean a total revolution of the mind, a reset in the way Nigerians think and act, because the current system, they say, is designed to keep the people suffering. They point fingers at the 1999 Constitution, calling it fraudulent and imposed on Nigerians without their consent. According to them, unless this constitution is replaced with one truly made by the people, the country will continue to sink deeper into crisis. But that's not all. These elders reminded Nigerians that the people never signed any agreement with Britain to surrender sovereignty in the first place. They say the first union called Nigeria is already cracking. And if restructuring does not happen, then the road to self-determination and even outright breakup becomes inevitable. From resource control to environmental degradation in the Niger Delta, to accusations that the leaders are more loyal to tribe and religion than competence. The anger in these viral clips is raw. They argue that the people who feed the nation are the same people most betrayed and insulted, and that injustice is eating away at Nigeria's foundation. Even more frightening, they claim that democracy in Nigeria is nothing but elite authoritarianism. Leaders are selected by party barons, not by the people. Votes don't count and impunity rules the day. And unless Nigeria returns to true federalism with real resource control and regional autonomy, division is only a matter of time. Guys, I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look, guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
When you speak about revolution, people think you want to carry guns. No, you can have revolution of the mind. You can have revolution of how you think. And we need to have very strong revolution to change Nigeria, assuming that we truly want to change Nigeria, because it depends on us if we change Nigeria or we don't change Nigeria. But I want to say here without fear or favor that as long as we have the present personalities that we have in our different states, in politics, all the way up to the federal government, that even this 1999 Constitution, from what I've heard here even, that we're going to find it difficult, if not impossible, to change the 1999 Constitution. Therefore, as I round up, I am convinced that if we're not able to change the 1999 Constitution to the People's Constitution, irrespective of how we have come about this 1999 Constitution that is so clearly against the country called Nigeria and the people, the suffering people of Nigerians, then Nigeria truly should be able to stand up and begin to look forward to how we're going to go about the plan B of Nigerians and Nigeria.
The first point to note is that we never signed any agreement or treaty with the British Crown to surrender our sovereignty. So we're forced into what we call Nigeria. That is number one fraud. Moving forward, our sources of livelihood have been taken over by various enactments. The Land Use Decree, the Petroleum Industry Act, and several others. My sister talked about lack of resource control, resource management, etc. As we speak, the John Nation is on the path of self-determination. We pray the peaceful process we have started is made possible. If not, a revolution will become inevitable. As several fora, we have mentioned the primary conditions that will make Ijaw people to be committed to the Nigerian nation. Before Buhari, I led the Ijaw people, and several, when even the British visited us at Ijaw House, we told them in the first place they brought us to this rubbish, and they have a responsibility of pulling us out. Then secondly, as we move on, we still believe that Nigeria we can have a reset of Nigeria if we are ready to do the appropriate things. First and foremost, why not go back to the pre-independence Act on derivation? Before oil and gas became the commanding height of Nigerian economy, it was at least 50%. When we had oil and gas, because it's from a minority area, we're giving patri 1%, later 1.3%, and today we have 13%. 20% translate to 87% deprivation. We face all kinds of environmental hazards. And when we cried, they insulted us with 3% PIA for those communities. Somebody said Obasanjo is, the present government is a Democrat. As far as we are concerned, it's not a Democrat. Tinubu is not a Democrat. You cannot practice, go and tell him that the Ijaw people say that he's not a Democrat. Because you cannot practice democracy and fail to adhere to the basic principle of democracy. The same constitution that guides everybody. You are imposing a state of emergency in a state to satisfy the inordinate ambition of some persons who want to capture resources and power of a state. We distate that, and we don't want to hear anybody talk about Tinubu being a Democrat. Finally, by way of contributing to the debate, we think that if we must move on, let us go back to the regional system.
And even the second,
we are proposing 10 regions.
You want to now kick me out of it?
10 regions. That's our proposal. And when we have regions, the issues of state creation, local government creation, and etc. will be over. In your own region, you have as many number of states you want to have. If you want to have 10, have 10. If you want to have 10 states, have 10 states. If you want to have 20 or 200 local government areas, have it, because the sharing will be on the region. And that will solve the issue of having 12 states today, because the more you agitate for state creation and create more states, you create more imbalances and injustice. To resolve that problem is on that. Then secondly, we must own our resources. Resource control is not new. It is not new. When groundnuts, cocoa, palm oil were the commanding out of our district, it was 50%. Why are you doing it to us? Because it is oil. The 13% derivation is an insult. If we have all of these put in place, we can have a fair Nigeria. We produce what sustains this country, but we are most badly treated. And that is why nothing can be well with this country. When you maltreat the person that feeds your nation, if you maltreat your mother that feeds you, what happens to you? So when we are considering all of this, we should also look at the spiritual dimension to it. We are the mothers of this nation, but we have decided to deprive us. And that is why whatever we do, including what we are doing now, will not work until we pay, give honor to motherhood.
Eminent leaders of conscience, representatives of geopolitical zones, members of the press, and fellow Nigerians. Let me begin by commending the patriots for their vision, their courage, and their unwavering commitment to convening this historic summit. In a nation burdened by silence, convening a dialogue of this magnitude, though not for the first time, or not the first of its kind, is an act of bold patriotism. As the son of the South-South, and as one who has carried the burden of this nation's dream across many decades, I stand before you not just to offer goodwill, but to lend voice to the truth that has often been expressed and can no longer be deferred. This summit is not another routine conference. It is a defining moment. Perhaps it is the last peaceful opportunity we have to confront the fundamental contradiction of Nigeria, that we are governed not by the will of the people, but by a constitution that robs us of our sovereignty. Let us speak frankly to the state of our union, which is fractured but not beyond repair. Our federation is in distress. Our democracy is in disrepute, and our people, the very source of power in a true republic, have become totally disenfranchised and therefore disillusioned and detached and alienated. We from the South-South region join other zones across the country who have agreed that this union is not working as it is. It can only be sustained if it is restructured on the basis of equity, justice, and mutual consent. Now, the patriots have called us for us to examine certain things: the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution, the viability of our current political system, the path towards restoring true sovereignty to the Nigerian people. This agenda, therefore, is not only the right one, but it is in fact the only one that matters now. We endorse it in its entirety because the truth is this: the 1999 Constitution was not the people's constitution. It was a military decree imposed without the consent of the people. The military suspended the 1963 Constitution, which remains the last legal expression of our people's collective will and agreed terms of condition for staying together. That Constitution, I'd like to emphasize, was suspended. It was never repealed, proscribed, or abrogated. At the end, rather than lift the suspension and restore our legitimate constitution, it was instead replaced with a fraudulent document that begins with a lie that says, "We the people." This document was not even submitted to the National Assembly for adoption or ratification before it was put into use. The people of Nigeria were not consulted. We did not consent. It was foisted on us, and our sovereignty was therefore stolen. Now, let us look at why our present political system cannot work. We are running a democracy where election results are determined not by the ballot, but by various other undemocratic means. Representatives and leaders are selected by a few and imposed. They are not elected. Power flows from the party barons and not from the people. Public service is privatized for profit, to individual profit, and not for national purpose. This is not democracy. This elite authoritarianism with scant democratic decoration on it. And the people know it. That is why voters turn out the declines, as we saw in the last election in Lagos. That is why trust in the government is dead. This has been exacerbated by the departure from a functional federal system to an imperial presidential unitary system, which we practice at the moment. Unless we act now, and reverse this situation, the country is bound to go into fragmentation. So we, in consultation with other leaders and the compatriots, a group that I lead, believe the following must be addressed in the new constitution. Sovereignty must return to the people. We must get rid of this unitary system and reinstate the federal system of governance that our founding fathers had agreed to. True federalism must be guarantee maximum autonomy to the federating units. Cost of politics must be brought down to open space for inclusiveness and real leadership. unicameral legislature with ministers appointed only from elected representatives must be reinstated. Real mechanisms for accountability, recall, and sanction for non-performing and deviant public officers must also be instituted. Impunity must end, transparency must begin. Elections must be driven by ideas and integrity, not by money. And finally, party leadership must grow from within the party. For this summit to be considered a success, the critical questions that have to be answered are, is the relationship between the nations that form Nigeria working? If not, why? And what new terms can be made to make it work? Is the Constitution helping to unite, coexist for people to coexist peacefully and prosper? If not, why? And what can we do to make it work? Is our political system inclusive? Is it delivering accountable governance and promoting national progress? If not, why? And what political system will? If we cannot honestly face these questions and live here with a clear strategy, timeline, and commitment to change, then this summit, with all its good intentions, would not have been as big a success as it ought to have been. This is the right meeting, but what are our chances of success? That will depend on just one thing. Will we confront the hijacking of our sovereignty and do every legitimate thing and legal thing to fix it? If we live here with a clear, actionable roadmap to 1, restore sovereignty to the people, 2, enact a truly people-driven constitution, and 3, reform our political system to reflect our realities, then this meeting will go down in history as the turning point for Nigeria. But if we live with nothing but speeches, handshakes, and photo ops, the tragedy of Nigeria will continue and we will share in the blame. Let us therefore resolve to reclaim Nigeria together. We must not be afraid to change. What we must rather be afraid of is not to change. Nigeria's unity will only be preserved through fairness and justice, not force or fear. And if we miss this opportunity, the next chapter may be one of irreversible fragmentation. I believe, and I know that many of you also believe, that time is running out. Let this summit be a strident call for a new beginning. Let the patriots be remembered as the spark that reignited the flame of sovereignty. Let Nigeria be reborn, not just as a country, but as a true nation.
Basically, from the South zone, or the Niger Delta, I am the first and only, and of course, from a minority ethnic group. So, the kind of politics our forefathers played from the 50s, I cannot say from 1914 when Nigeria was amalgamated, because the books you read don't give you a clear perspective of how Nigeria was amalgamated. It was done by the British people. The key actors from Nigeria that participated in that amalgamation, you hardly hear what they say. But that key political actors, people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, people like Obafemi Awolowo, people like the Sarana of Sokoto, and so on, all these people were less than 10 years old at the time of amalgamation. They didn't play any role. But in the 50s, when we were marching towards independence, that was when this book came to play a key role that led to the independence in 1960. Political parties were formed during in the late 50s, leading to the independence. And the kind of politics our forefathers played back then is still the politics we play today. We play tribal and regional politics. And it is quite unfortunate if you compare Nigeria to other African countries. You will see that you find it difficult to say that this was a national leader in Nigeria that attempted to bring the country together. I said, for young people, we should know that this issue of tribe and religion, these are the major setbacks for this country. This makes people, it's create problems of our leadership recruitment. If somebody is holding a political office and he wants to give appointments, you begin to see that even if Mrs. A knows the issue better than Mrs. B, and if Mrs. B is from his own tribe, will want to use Mrs. B. It's like saying, oh, you have a fight that you need a lion to fight. But that lion is not from your tribe. Then you say the cats. Then you say, after all, both of them are carnivorous animals. They can shut it. And you bring a cat to do the job of a lion. It's not possible. The cat, yes, is a carnivorous animal. Yes, that can shut it. But the cat cannot do the job of a lion or a tiger or a leopard. So, but that is what happens in a system where people tend towards their tribe. And that's one of the banes of Nigerian politics. The leadership recruitment process is skewed along tribal interests, along religious interests. So you see how difficult it is to get the best. If people are contesting the election, even as a president of a country or as a governor in the various states, I don't want to mention states. There are some states that if you come from some part of the state, you can never be the governor of the state, even if you are the best material at the time. In Nigeria, if you want to contest election, they first know, is it our turn? Is it their turn? Is it the turn of the Muslims? Is it the turn of the Christians? So this creates problem to recruit the best material, because you are not assessing the person you want to recruit to the leadership position based on competence. You assess the person based on how he worships God, or from the part of the map of the country the person comes from.
They can't even control.
So these are the issues. So, but the key thing is, if the younger people can begin to gradually downplay the issue of religion and religion in the politics of Nigeria, the leadership recruitment process will improve. We'll begin to recruit people better. When I was contesting in 2015 because of this religious divide between me and Buhari, I used to tell people that, look, if you are sick, let us say you have a kidney problem and you go to the hospital, you ask for the best doctor. You will not ask whether that doctor is from Enugu or from Kano or from Ibadan, if it is in Nigeria, but you ask. If they say this is the best doctor, you are comfortable with. So when you're hungry, you don't care where the person who's serving the food is from Meduguri or from Yinagwa. You eat the food. That is normal human. But whenever it comes to a leadership recruitment process through the political recruitment programs of election and so on and so forth, our wisdom is masked by these sentiments of region and religion. But Nigeria today, we are divided along tribal lines, we are divided along religious lines, and it worries me. And if we don't make any changes, which is difficult to make, it may continue even to your grandchildren, because we started wrongly. And there's no real effort to make sure we change. And it's a major problem, and most of our problems we're having today in the country is because of this division.
The main thrust of the draft bill seeks to revert Nigeria to the 1963 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The 1963 Constitution was the first and last constitution duly negotiated by Nigerians, ethnic nationalities, and passed into law by a democratically elected parliament in 1963. It therefore passed the litmus test of having been made by we the people via universal human suffrage. All constitutions following that one were handed down to us by undemocratic military governments.
The 1963 Constitution is important because it has a clause that takes care of transition. Initially, transition from ethnic nationalities governing statecraft to colonial democracy between 1900 and 30 September 1963. Then it never envisaged the military coming into the equation. But since they came in, we had two clear opportunities for the military to really transit back to republican democracy, first in 1993. But that was missed, or it was messed up. These are simple composite administrative units without any full devolution of power, resource control, and the basic tenets of the of federalism as it obtains anywhere in the world.
Pope who said, for forms of government, let the full contend. What is best for the people is simply best. Flowing from the question, there is no doubt, the speaker said it, that we have seen a worsening economic, even political, spiritual condition of Nigerians. You don't need to be a nuclear scientist to know that things are progressively getting bad. How? Smaller percentage of Nigerians are now prosperous. It's not as if there is no prosperity, but it's reducing and reducing. And when I was born, and at my development, all the things my development, wealth was not as limited to a few number of Nigerians as it is today. And that, what does that signify? It tells us that we are in a deep problem. You see, as to physical sciences are very exact, but social sciences reflect the condition of the people, and that's why it's not exact. So we will not be here discussing this if things are normal in Nigeria. We know, even those who have extremely better today know that things are not normal. And in addressing it, as I'm concerned, I will not be as rigid as Dr. Bugaji. That for rhetoric, for political correctness, yes, you can say homegrown. The human beings are the same everywhere. Hunger is hunger. Poverty is poverty. A bad system is a bad system. Whatever does not give the appropriate opportunity or right to people will be resisted, no matter what to do to prevent it. He mentioned that he mentioned military rule, he mentioned political system. He failed to mention revolution. That look, if all of that things fail, there could be people can revolt. So if you are conscious of all of this and we know the consequences of things getting out of hand, it will interest us to see how best to govern ourselves to ensure that our people, and you said it in passing, that the primary responsibility of every government is the welfare and security of the people. When those two things can no longer be guaranteed, forget it. There can't be a stable society. However, please let me conclude. I don't have taken time. I have looked at, I've studied the issue of Nigeria, how we even came into existence as separate kingdoms, communities, and whatever. If we don't want to relapse into actually what led us into being colonized in the first instance, because some people want to overlook that. That was a weakness that led to colonialism. It was a weakness. I don't want to go to that issue. If you are strong enough, we will never have been colonized. So we are not strong enough, and that was what led to our own being dominated by others. And part of it is the tyranny of these individual dictators that we call rulers. If you go on believing that a man, a person, no matter how beautiful, no matter how good, who could have the capacity to go out 220 million people all alone without checks, we are joking. So, but by that consideration alone, I am opposed to executive system of government. I believe a collective arrangement which parliamentary system guarantees is best for a nation like Nigeria, if indeed we are committed to advancing the interests of the large population and mass of our people. Thank you.
Thank you. The only way you can throw away the 1999 Constitution is through a revolution. And I'm saying this, all that the current political system, the executive and the legislative organs of government are very, very comfortable with the current Constitution. And let me just say this. When we are gathered here, when you are talking of federalism, the National Assembly is currently expanding the powers of the center. More powers are being concentrated in the center. Just a few examples. In 2003, when they said governors cannot have stability, because by virtue of section 214 of the Constitution, there shall be only one police force in Nigeria. But that's it. Another police force was set up by President Obasanjo called the Civil Defense. I'm sure you know it was Civil Defense. It's a police force. Not only that, the USCC, ICPC, Correctional Services Center, FRSC, All of them are allowed to carry out. The last one, the government the federal has just set up federal lands instead of state. I'm sure you are aware. Conference is allowed to hold. My job is extremely simple, straightforward, which is to look at the electronic system of voting. And I wish to submit without any fear of contradiction that Nigerian courts are totally opposed to the introduction of any form of electronic voting. In 2010 Electoral Act, amended in 2015 by the Jonathan administration, empowered INEC to adopt any method, any procedure, PC, to conduct credible elections in Nigeria. And INEC under the rules carry leader for the accreditation order and all rigging proper stands for manipulation of accreditation of voters. When the case of the music calendar, we are using calendar to know how many people were accredited in each of the constituents. Or when the case goes to the Supreme Court said it's illegal to accredit voters by the use of calendars. Again, a similar provision is in the Electoral 2022. INEC is empowered to issue guidelines and accept any method in fit to have elections. INEC under Professor Mabu came out publicly and on several occasions. They were going to use device machines for accreditation of voters. We are also going to transmit election results electronically. Instantly. But in the case of illegal and identity, the Supreme Court said the use of device machines and transmission of results electronically was optional while it is not compulsory. I do this simple. I can simply say, Chair, that I hereby suggest that the National Assembly should amend Electoral 2022 to allow the use of device machines and electronic transmission of results under the law by making them part